Hi everybody, Jay the Fish Guy here. Today we are on location in the fish van. If you guys missed it in the channel description, I own my own aquarium installation and maintenance business. So I spend a fair amount of my time on the road driving from client to client. So I figured, hey, it'd be a great time to sit here and make a few videos. So today's episode, we're talking about game-changing technology in the reef hobby, and specifically what I consider to be the biggest game changer. Prior to my starting this business, I worked at an LFS. I ran the fish department for about 11 years, so I got to see a lot of new stuff come through the door, new technology over the years, and how it affected this hobby. The biggest thing I have seen in the last 10 years probably that has really made a huge impact on how we keep our reefs, bio-pellets and their reactors. That one thing has really changed how we look at our tanks, or at least for me and my customers. I don't know if it's, I don't see it on the forums nearly as much as I would have imagined. I don't see people talking about it all that much. Everybody's talking about, refugiums. Okay, well, I am not in the refugium camp. I'm not pro-refugium. I look at it as, yes, it can be great. Most people don't do it correctly. They're not big enough, they're not taken care of, they're not plumbed properly in the correct order of things in terms of the filtration. So I am not pro-refugium. I am pro bio-pellet, and this is kind of why I'm making this video today, is kind of get that information out there, because so many times I'll get a client and they're talking to me about their high nitrate levels, or they're struggling to keep it in check because everybody wants a ton of fish and they really love to feed their fish. They need their 3 square meals a day, and absolutely, if you have tangs, angels, any they're high demand, high metabolism fish, you have to feed them. And you struggle with the nitrates, even if you have a proper setup, if you have an appropriately sized reactor, skimmer, you're doing, pretty big volume water changes with enough frequency. Sometimes you still struggle because you just got to have that one more tang or the one more angel, and hey, whatever, that's fine. So, I'd start talking to them about these bio-pellets and the reactors, and they just kind of look at me with a puzzled look, like they've never even heard of it before. So I really want to get some info out there. Bio-pellets, they're a bio-polymer. Biodegradable plastic polymer. There we go. That's what I'm shooting for. Sorry. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Biodegradable plastic polymer. So you run them in a fluidized bed reactor, similar to like what you do with a carbon reactor almost, but instead of, a lot of times you'll have foams in those reactors, you just have plastic plates with holes in them. And usually a much bigger pump to help fluidize these pellets. And the pellets are a breeding ground for these bacterias that they actually eat the nitrates and to some degree phosphates. There's been some newer bio-pellets on the market that I've seen that are like infused with GFO, and they're supposed to do more phosphates. Okay, a natural part of the whole nitrate removal process, it eats some phosphates. So don't use that as a primary phosphate remover. It's there for nitrate removal. I can't say enough about these bio-pellets. I use a specific brand, they're Aquamax. Just their regular run-of-the-mill bio-pellets that they have that look like everybody else's. I don't know if they have a different formula or what it is, but man, those things are killer. I've had clients with fish-only tanks with live rock, so a fowler tank, and their nitrates are just pegged. You do a classic API nitrate test kit. I think the max is like 180 parts per million. It's off the charts. It's bright red. You can cut the sample in half, so pretend like it's 50% and then add 50% of tap water. Still pegged off the charts. You hook up a bio-pellet reactor, which is just basically a feed pump going into the reactor, and you have an output. Ideally, you point the output at your skimmer, because the skimmer helps take out any residual bio stuff that comes out of the reactor. And it depends on how big the tank is. Usually I use about a liter of media per 100 gallons as a baseline. And within typically a month to 2 months, you can take that pegged off the chart nitrates and bring it down to close to nothing. And that's without water changes, that's without doing anything else to try to help reduce it. Just the bio-pellets, and you can get rid of nitrates. It'll eat probably close to that full liter of media for that initial, to bring it down. And then after that, depending on bioload, that liter will last you, potentially up to 6 months. Your mileage may vary, of course, depending on how much you're feeding, how big your fish are, etc. But I mean, that's huge. To be able to keep your nitrate levels at nothing long term, and I say nothing, but trace. Let's call it trace. To keep your nitrate levels at trace levels without killing yourself with water changes, without worrying about how many fish you can put in the tank or if you're feeding too much, it is huge. That just totally changes the way we look at tanks. And I don't know why more people aren't hopping on board. I don't know if there's the different brands of bio-pellets don't have the same results, and people are just like, yeah, I guess it kind of works, whatever. But man, the Aquamax ones that I use, and I'm not being sponsored by Aquamax, they're not giving me any products, it's just I love the product, so I'm going to talk about it. They work. To get into a bio-pellet reactor, let's say you have under a 100-gallon tank, you buy one of the standard size reactors that can fit anywhere up to and including 1 liter of media. Aquamax specifically makes 2 sizes. There's other brands out there. I like the Aquamax reactor only because instead of a classic bottom plate, and I'm kind of getting off track here because I'll probably end up doing a product review at some point, but instead of a classic bottom plate where water just pushes straight up through it, they have this kind of like a spin design where the water goes down and then forces it to go, like a tornado inside the bottom. It actually helps prevent dead spots and to keep everything fluidized. You can use a smaller pump and keep things fluidized that much better without any dead spots. So pump, reactor, a liter of media, some tubing and a ball valve to control flow. You're in it for probably less than 150 bucks. So the cost of that versus, let's say you're doing 25, 30, maybe 40% water changes, that's a lot of salt that adds up every month that you're trying to get ahead of these nitrates, and you're not. You're maybe maintaining, but you're not really gaining any ground. And if you are, you're killing yourself doing it, because let's face it, water changes aren't exactly the most fun thing to do in the hobby. So yeah, I'll put some links down at the bottom of the video to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about with these bio-pellets and their reactors. If you haven't looked into it further, I highly suggest it, especially if you're wishing you could have more fish, if you're wishing you didn't have to do quite as many water changes, if you're doing a lot for nitrates specifically. It's a great bit of technology, and it's worth checking out. So, hey, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, share with your friends. Hopefully this starts taking off a little bit, because this is what I love. This is what I do. This is my passion. And I've had a lot of clients saying, you should really share your info with the world. And I know there's a ton of other people on here doing their own thing. And I'd like to think maybe I got something else to offer. So, hey, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.